Soccer jubilation turned to sadness tonight that swept the streets and the towns of England as their beloved team lost to Croatia in the World Cup. It was a mood that is everywhere tonight, and it is a mood that has been felt in Parliament quite a bit lately as British Prime Minister Theresa May battles to save her version of how she sees the Brexit process, the brash British departure from the EU that was steeped in independence and taking back the country. But now she is patching holes in her cabinet as ministers jump ship. And President Trump says he may meet with one of them while he's here, Boris Johnson. Nigel Farage led the movement, and the candidate, President Trump at the time, cheered him on.
I did.
So he is coming to England. He's going to meet with Theresa May. What do you think he's going to say to her, Nigel?
Donald Trump believes in nation states. Donald Trump believes in sovereignty. Donald Trump cheered Brexit on because he thought it was a return to normality. You know, people want to control their own borders, make their own laws, be a normal nation, not be run by a bunch of bureaucrats based in Brussels. And it isn't just Trump. You know, John Bolton, all those people around Donald Trump believe in this. Now, what Mrs. May has done is, frankly, to behave totally dishonestly with the British public. She told us Brexit means Brexit. We will take back control of our laws, our borders and our money. And the compromise that she put forward at Chequers last week, the PM's country home, frankly, was a betrayal of those things. Middle England is in uproar over this. I've never seen, you know, just middle-class Conservative people angrier than they are right now with the Prime Minister. And I think, in private, Trump's going to say to her, what on earth are you doing? Don't you understand that if you continue down this course, you will destroy the Conservative Party? I
mean, the messages that brought President Trump into the presidency and the Brexit message have so many similarities, as you've talked about, and how in the more rural areas of the country and the working class parts of the country, like our western Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, in Middle England, people are saying that they want to have control of their own country. And you know, we were talking about this earlier in terms of President Trump's vision for kind of remaking and throwing the chessboard up in the air and saying, you know what, your pieces aren't necessarily where they've always been, and you're going to have to get used to that. Do you think that he is working to reorder our alliances with Europe and with the UK?
Well, he's certainly on NATO today. You know, what he said is pretty straightforward, isn't it? Now, previous American presidents have said this, but they've never actually meant it. The point about Trump is when he says something, he does mean it. Yeah, Donald Trump is looking at reshaping the world in many ways, and he's being rather successful at it. I think this visit could turn out for Mrs. May to be very embarrassing indeed, because one of the worst things she's done, she's made a trade deal between the US and the UK now virtually impossible. So her Brexit deal affects not just our democracy, but some American interests as well. It's going to be a very interesting couple of days.
So the president spoke to Boris Johnson, and he may meet with him when he's here. Here's the message that he put out there as he left the White House. Watch this.
Boris Johnson's a friend of mine. He's been very, very nice to me, very supportive. And maybe we'll speak to him when I get over there. I like Boris Johnson. I've always liked him.
He said, I like Boris. I've always liked him. Maybe I'll speak to him when I get over there. Do you think they will meet while he's here?
Well, Boris has not always been supportive of Donald Trump. And during the campaign, he did not support Trump. But he has tried to mend fences with the president. If Donald Trump meets Boris Johnson, he's sending a signal that he wants Mrs. May removed. That would be a big moment, a very big moment.
It certainly would. And we heard tonight that Theresa May is sort of sending a little, you know, message of sweetness and light about the Putin visit that President Trump is going to do. She said, I think I'm on board. I think it's a great idea for them to sit down together. Do you think that she's trying to create, you know, a warm environment for their discussion?
She's missed her chance. She should today, at the NATO summit, have said to the rest of Europe, what Donald Trump is saying is right. This is a club. Whether you're big or small as a country, you all pay 2%. She could have been the bridge, the broker between Trump and the rest of Europe. She blew the opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, I think, in my own view, this is the worst Prime Minister we've seen in my lifetime.
You said the last time we spoke, when I was in New York, you said she could be out in a fortnight. Do you still believe that?
Yes, I do.
And are those 48 letters forthcoming from the Tory MPs that could start that process?
By this weekend, we'll see some fresh opinion polls showing where her rating and the party's rating is with the public. If what I'm picking up from Middle England, their sense of betrayal of what she's doing with Brexit. You know, if I've got this right, they would have slumped in the polls for the weekend. And I think next week those letters will go in.
But she doesn't seem to be feeling that. She seems to feel confident that she's going to be able to hang on.
Well, she thinks she can hang on, but believe me, if she hangs on, not only does Brexit get sold down the river in its true form, but the chances of socialist Corbyn becoming the next Prime Minister get greater. I think, frankly, the Conservative Party have got to come to their senses.
In terms of Conservative leadership, who would take over that role? Who do you think?
Well, the man that really wants it.
How about you?
Well, what I've said is, if they continue to mess up Brexit, I will get myself back in the front lines of British politics. And I hope that threat alone is enough to make them, because they don't like me very much, because I forced this whole Brexit thing upon them. It's made their lives very tough. I think in terms of the Conservative Party now, Boris clearly wants the job, and that's why if Trump meets him when he's here, it'll be a big thing.
Fascinating. It really is. And the implications for the United States are so integral to all of this. And when you talk about the possibility of Theresa May standing up like that and sticking up for what the United States is saying, that would be a special relationship.
She had the chance to do it today, and she didn't do it.
Fascinating point. Nigel, thank you. Good to see you tonight.